Hello, I am Pastor Chad Wright, the Associate Pastor of Christian Care and Counseling here at Trinity Lutheran Church and School in Utica, Michigan. Welcome. I want to take a moment to help enrich couples who are married, and so this video is aimed at helping you recharge your marriage and make a fresh start with each other, not only on Valentine's Day, but throughout 2021. So over the years, my family has watched the movie The Princess Bride a number of times. It's a classic. If you lived in America in the last 3 decades, you're probably familiar with the famous marriage scene from the film. On Princess Buttercup's solemn wedding day, we are introduced to the officiating bishop, listed in the credits as the impressive clergyman, with his memorable opening address. Marriage is what brings us together today. Marriage, that blessed arrangement, that dream within a dream. Of course, what makes this so funny is the seriousness of that moment and such a special day juxtaposed with his unexpected speech impediment. The humor is in the surprise. But surprises in marriage can be anything but funny, especially if those surprises prove fatal and the marriage ends in divorce. So luckily, real Christian marriages are immune to divorce, right? Sadly, that's not what the research shows. I remember when I was in seminary and we reviewed George Barna's first round of research comparing the divorce rates of non-Christians to Christians. The research covered thousands of couples and suggested that there was no significant difference between the two groups. Divorces happened equally between those who claimed to be followers of Christ and those who said they were not. So being a Christian does not divorce-proof your marriage. A young couple marrying for the first time in today's world has a lifetime divorce risk of 40 to 50%. In a recent poll of pastors, 40% said that at least one couple in their church separated or divorced in this past year. Sadly, we at Trinity are not immune to this either. It is heartrending when a pastor realizes that this is affecting the spouses, the kids, and even extended families in his congregation. According to one survey of couples, the average engaged couple spends about 9 hours per week over 14 months planning a wedding ceremony and a reception that usually takes no more than a few hours. But they spend less than 4 hours on average in any marriage class, pre-marriage counseling to begin a marriage that they hope will last 40 to 50 years. I think most couples assume that their marriage will just automatically work out. And we know that isn't true. Marriage takes work. It comes with many blessings, but it needs a healthy foundation, and it also needs ongoing maintenance work. If you knew you had a 50-50 chance of succeeding at one of the most important decisions of your entire life, would you hesitate to make those vows before family, friends, and God? If more couples recognize that the relationship takes work and that most of us are not naturally equipped to make marriage work well, I think they would prepare better for marriage and seek support and help with their marriage throughout their married life. As a pastor and as a counselor, I have read a lot of marriage and relationship books over the many years. Some of the best and most helpful for my marriage and for helping others with their marriage has come from the Gottman Institute. In fact, as a therapist, I received level 1, level 2, and level 3 training for the Gottman couples therapy. It's a research-based therapy developed from over 4 decades of observational research. Started at the University of Washington, Dr. John Gottman and his team studied thousands of couples over a number of years. And through that research, they discovered reliable patterns of interaction that discriminate between happy couples that are on a stable path from couples that were unhappy and either eventually divorce or they stay together but they remain unhappy. The result of Dr. Gottman's research in collaboration with his friend and colleague Dr. Robert Levinson was the ability to reliably predict with over 90% accuracy which relationships would succeed and which relationships would fail if left untreated 6 years later. They were able to show what skills and patterns make marriage work and show the pitfalls of negative habits and interactions that can destroy marriage. Why am I bringing this up? Well, I assume if you're watching this, you are married. I would like to share some of that information with you to help you look honestly at your marriage and ask God to help you in areas which you are struggling. And if you need more, I'm here to help. As the Associate Pastor of Christian Care and Counseling, I can work with you and your spouse to add some skills and help make your marriage a healthy and happy one if you're struggling. See, every marriage can use a tune-up from time to time, and that keeps you from having to overhaul or completely scrap the marriage. The leaders here at Trinity also care for both of you. We know that healthy marriages are absolutely essential for healthy families. Studies have shown also that healthy married couples and healthy families provide a solid foundation for healthy, vital, and vibrant churches that make a positive generational impact. God created both marriage and the church. In fact, God uses the analogy of husband and wife being like Christ and his bridegroom, the church, multiple times in Scripture. Marriage and the church are not only connected, but divinely and purposefully intertwined. And so the pastoral staff here at Trinity want to help in any way we can. If it's suggesting resources, we would love to do that. We as pastors know that the most effective tools for the transformation of a community are healthy churches and healthy marriages. And the surprising reality is that you can't have one without the other. With that said, I would like to share the model of the Sound Relationship House from the Gottman Institute. It's explained most clearly in the 7 principles for making marriage work, chapter by chapter, with exercises for couples to engage in. I often encourage couples to read it a chapter at a time and practice the exercises in it. And so, here you see the image of the Sound Relationship House. And Dr. Gottman's research focuses on 7 components that masters of relationships have displayed, which he's called the Sound Relationship House. And at the very base of that is the first level of building love maps. The foundation is love mapping, making a roadmap of your partner's inner world, understanding his or her goals, worries, stresses, hopes, and dreams. And it is a regular update of who is important in your spouse's support system. It's knowing one another deeply and periodically updating that knowledge. And the second level is the fondness and admiration system, where couples share fondness and admiration. The second story of that house is the antidote for contempt. The fundamental process is looking for what your partner is doing right, and then building a culture of appreciation, fondness, affection, and respect. And the third story is turning towards versus turning away in everyday moments of life. It is building awareness of how your partner asks for connection and expresses emotional needs, and then deciding to turn towards those bids rather than turning away from or against them. These 3 stories build the fourth story, the positive perspective. Taking research from Bob Weiss's idea of positive sentiment override, PSO, this determines a lot of things, including the presence of positive affect in problem solving, when we're making discussions about what's important and what's not. It also really helps with the success of repair attempts when we are having conflict. And that leads us to the 5th level, managing conflict. Couples need to identify the core issues and the anatomy of repeating negative cycles in their relationship. Couples need to understand what triggers escalation, for example, criticism, defensiveness, contempt, and then what the story is of these triggers in each person's past history so they can successfully deal with it. That leads us to the 6th level, making life dreams come true. You see, therapists once believed that if conflicts were resolved, positive feelings of all types would rush into the couple's world by themselves, kind of like air rushes in to a vacuum. But it's not true. Research actually shows that positive affect systems need to be built intentionally. And so that includes planning time to play and have fun, to explore and have adventures together. And that leads us to the last level, the 7th level, creating shared meaning. We have the attic of the house, where people intentionally create a sense of shared meaning in their life together, in the way that couples move through time together and how they prioritize their time and their resources, in the stories they tell one another, and their family and friends about their lives, their ancestors, their culture, and their beliefs. It is really passing on their shared legacy. So if you're looking for a gift for Valentine's Day that will have a lasting impact and help give a fresh start to your marriage, check out this book from the Gottman Institute. They've also published a new one called 8 Dates that kind of goes over the same things. It's really an opportunity to explore your relationship together and give it a tune-up. So look for that. And then also, if you have a smartphone, you can go to the App Store and type in Gottman Card Desk, download that app and install it. And when you open it, you'll find a number of virtual decks, and each deck, when you click on it, will explain how to use it the first time you open it. And really, it's aimed at helping you strengthen your marriage. Taking time to do this or purchase the 7 principles for making marriage work might be a good gift for you and your spouse this Valentine's. The Lord bless your marriage.